the next one, most advantageous, is the real estate professional status. And this one, you really got to talk to your tax advisor and make sure you qualify for it, because it has big advantages. But if they come talking to you, the IRS comes talking to you, it could be bad. But this one allows you to use all your losses against your earned income. And there's 2 qualifications you need. The first one is you need to have 750 hours in real estate professional activities. So you basically got to be deciding, who your tenant is, deciding who's doing the repairs, stuff like that. And you need to spend more time doing real estate professional activities than anything else. So say the average full-time job is 2,080 hours a year. You need to be working 2,081 hours a year in real estate professional activities to be claiming that, which is 80 hours a week, which is very difficult to do. So once you qualify, you must prove that you materially participate in that activity. And that's a little, I feel, detailed for this. So if you want to, you can Google those 7 steps for real estate professional status for material participation, but you only have to qualify for one of those 7 steps in order to show that you materially participate. And the most important thing for a real estate professional status is a document. So yeah, document everything. So what you need on the documentation is the date, you need the property address, you need the activity that you did, and then the time spent doing it. And that can be recorded on like a spiral notebook. It can be on an Excel spreadsheet that you update whenever you do it. And I know they have apps that do this as well. But the thing is, you can't mix and match. You can't do like a month on paper, a couple months on Excel, try the app out for a month. So it's got to be consistent, because that's what they want to see. But again,
you have to do that. If you did for each of those activities for an hour each, you'll have 750 log entries, or whether you're writing it like that. That's now who's that going? Is that getting submitted directly to the IRS? Is that through someone like yourself?
If and only if you are audited, correct?
Yeah, it's only if you're audited. You need to show them proof. So you hold that. You don't submit that with your tax return. That just goes in your file on your computer that says 2021 tax return or whatever year it is. So
do you have to do that every single year? Have that, or is this you have to requalify, or can you do 750 and then be like good for?
You can change. So if you qualify one year, you can go to pass it next year or whatever. But you definitely, in order to do it, you do need to qualify every year for it. You need to do the 750 hours and all that.
Mark, you've been a real estate professional for like a decade.
Yeah, no, I know. It's funny because it's like when it's just been something for no, it's been 20 years now. Like when you're just something for 20 years, like you don't even realize how you got to that, I guess, or the barriers to get to it now. So that's something on an annual basis. So what's something like, you have people that are working full-time jobs or whatever, and they're running flips or doing stuff at nights and weekends. Like that's something that they should be doing is documenting this so they could say this every April.
Well, they wouldn't be a real estate professional unless they worked more hours in the real estate than their W-2 job.
Oh, so okay, I missed that. I did hear you say that, but I missed. So okay, so they have to actually exceed their day job. It's written out for people that are doing this full time, right? Am I understanding that right?
Full-time, or if say a spouse is a stay-at-home, watches over the kids and they do the real estate activity, they would only need to show that they did 750 hours. They don't need to surpass or do anything else because they don't have any other job. So as long as that spouse shows that they can prove that they did the 750 hours, they should qualify.
So they're doing 14 and a half hours basically a week of real estate activity as a stay-at-home spouse. That will allow them as a couple to qualify underneath that.
Right. Once one spouse qualifies, it goes for the couple if you're married filing jointly.
It's a big deal. So I don't want to take us down a rabbit hole here, but we did an episode with Cost Seg Kev, and we can link to it in the show notes on just cost segregation. I don't want to take us down this huge rabbit hole. But one thing I learned was from going from W-2 to real estate professional, that's when you get that bang, right? Because you can take all that accelerated depreciation against all, for me personally, a ton of short-term capital gains from the flips where I couldn't do that previously. And then I think this is where I'm bringing this up because let's say you're investing in a deal. You have a syndicator and you put 50 grand in the deal, 100 grand in the deal. And he's saying, hey, we're going to cost seg this. You need to understand that might be great for him and other real estate professionals in the deal and might keep me honest here. But those accelerated gains, they won't hurt or really help you because it can only knock off other passive income that you earned. You can't take that giant loss to offset other income like from your Jimmy John's franchise or from whatever.
Correct. Yeah, you got that right.
Yeah. So it's something, if you have multiple people in deals, they get affected differently, and you need to understand how it affects you personally. So I guess that's like my public service announcement before taking us down a huge rabbit hole.
No, that's such awesome information. So wait, Tom, just when you went full-time real estate, like this is something that you went down, you had to work with your tax advisor and go through all that and document and track it all, right? That's what you did?
Yeah. And admittedly, I'm not like the world's greatest at tracking, but besides, like, I have high level notes for each week, and it is what, right. You can easily come up with, if you're spending 2,200 hours or whatever, it's like, okay, if I have having 750 documented is simple.
Well, yeah, for any IRS agents listening, I mean, I imagine like your track record, like if you're doing X amount of deals a year, like you could back into that all day. There's kind of got to be some sort of common sense approach to document that, even if you had to go back and do it.
Correct. And, that's what the other thing he says, like, well, just go, like, you put everything on your calendar. You can always go back there if you missed anything. Mm-hmm. Right. But yeah, it's one of those things that taxes no one thinks about, but like for me, it was very eye opening because you get hammered on these flips. Like it's, flipping is the worst thing from a tax perspective. Like they hammer you on those. And then I would have like these rental properties, but without doing the cost, I couldn't use any losses from that to offset the flips before getting to this status. And that was a very big game changer for me.
Yeah, that status is huge. So if you can do it, you got to make sure that you qualify and continue to qualify for it.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question.
Everything I said, talk to someone like Mike. Let's just get that disclaimer out there.
Definitely talk to a tax advisor before you do anything like that.
This is why I love this podcast. The stuff we get to learn on here, just bringing awesome people like Mike on here. So as far as losses rolling forward, I know for me, I've had extreme losses in a year, mostly around like developing and all the write-offs you do when you're doing hundreds of properties at a time. Those losses have rolled forward. What is that only because I have that third option as far as being a tax professional, or can you get losses that roll forward on your income on your years on the other two?
If it's passive, if you're in the passive, you make over 150,000 a year, it would only offset passive gains. So if you had a great year in the stock market or something like that, it would offset those. But yeah, I mean, you're only really taking advantage of it if you're a real estate professional.
Gotcha. So that's probably why I was able to truly take advantage of that. So